Hello. Well, there's sort of good news for the good citizens of Cambridge with this news article here, which says Labour abandons congestion charge in Cambridge after public backlash. It's the sort of good news where you wonder how good it's going to be, because we all know that all Labour councils want to make congestion charges because so-called congestion charges, they're just means of extorting money from more of the people who live in their parish, because they're always running short of money, Labour councils. As Margaret Thatcher once said, the problem with socialism is that sooner or later you run out of somebody else's money. They're always running out of money. They're always coming up with great schemes that cost a lot and do nothing. I made a video about Birmingham Council in which they went to the expense of changing some street names to stuff like Diversity Way and Inspiration Drive. And I don't know what. Whatever. There was a whole lot of them. And now, when there are people living on the streets in Birmingham, do you think they're really happy about, I don't know what, Cedar Avenue being changed to Diversity Grove at great expense? No, they don't. But Labour councils don't think in those terms. After all, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs, can you? And a few broken eggs on the pavement at the side of the road in front of the shops. Well, who cares about them? OK, so let's just get back to this. Car owners faced a £5 a day charge to drive at peak times, but council drops proposals because of impact on low-income families. It's been a long time since any Labour council really worried about low-income families. What they worry about is votes. Votes. And that's it. And they stand a chance of winning the next election, and they're not going to scupper it now by fining their low-income voters £5 a day to use their cars to get to work. Here's a group of demonstrators against the idea of the congestion charge. Controversial plans for a congestion charge in Cambridge have been scrapped by its Labour council because of concerns about the cost of living crisis. There is no Labour council that worries 1 millimetre about the cost of living crisis. In fact, they want the cost of living crisis to be played up, because that increases people's resentment against the present government. Of course, once Labour get in, the cost of living crisis we have now is going to be a picnic next to what they're going to engineer. Car owners were facing a £5 a day charge to drive at peak times, even if they lived just within the boundary and were heading out of the city. Vans were set to pay £10 and lorries or coaches £50. But the Labour group on the council voted to withdraw support for the proposal, etc., etc. And then it says, the decision raises fresh questions about Sadiq Khan's refusal to back down on expanding his £12.50 a day ultra-low emissions zone throughout the capital, despite fierce opposition. It doesn't raise fresh questions. Our nightmare of London is determined to do this. He says it's for breathable air. No, it's not going to make much difference to the air, but what it is going to make a difference to is his pocket. Temporarily, because he is going to drive a lot of businesses out of business. And let's just talk about the vans. Now, Cambridge was going to charge vans £10 a day. What are those plumbers and carpenters and joiners and electricians and gardeners in their vans going to do? And while you just consider for a minute what tradesmen do when they are zapped with extra charges for their vehicles, I'll remind you that I'm Graniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds, also Twitter and Gab, where I let you know when I've uploaded a new video. All the links are in the description, including links to donation sites. But you don't have to donate. what you can do to help this channel is click that like button, share the video, subscribe, and if you're on YouTube, click the bell button for notifications. Okay, I think that covers it all. Let's get back to what tradesmen do when they're zapped with extra charges. What are those vans going to do in Cambridge? The electricians, the plumbers, the gardeners, the pet walkers, the delivery vans, all of those. What are they going to do about that £10 a day to use their vans within the city limits of Cambridge? They're going to pass the cost on to their customers. So some little old lady who calls a plumber to fix a leaky tap or something, she's going to get zapped by at least part of that £10 fine for using his car by the plumber. And that's before he even starts to charge her his call-out fee. Now, and when are Labour really worried about that? No. But they get their £10. So plumbers are going to not come in, or they're going to do something like, well, yeah, I'll come in 2 weeks' time because I'm bunching up all my calls in that area. That's another thing they're going to do. So people are going to be suffering with slow service just for that reason. There's going to be a whole load of things. Shops are going to close down. Little cafes are going to close down. All sorts of things are going to not work because of this. So the Labour Council voted to withdraw support because it was worried about the impact on low-income families. No, low-income families tend to vote Labour, and they're worried about those votes. And as for Sadiq Khan's refusal, well, he reckons he's very powerful. And in the case of Sadiq Khan, remember in my previous video about Birmingham, I spoke about tribal voting among certain ethnic minorities. Well, Sadiq Khan is perceived as being a member of a tribe. Whether he is or not is another matter. And so he is pretty sure of a solid block within London of people who will vote tribally for him, irrespective of how much he disrespects them, how much he charges them, how much he costs them. Apparently, the Liberal Democrats were the ones who withdrew support from the scheme, and Cambridge is one of those councils where there's a Labour and a Liberal Democrat sort of majority, because the people in Cambridge like to think of themselves as intellectuals, and intellectuals, of course, have to vote socialist in some way or another. But the Liberal Democrats are always further towards the edge of the precipice than Labour is. So they're a lot more worried about the votes. Now, it would also not surprise me at all if it turned out that the Labour Council, the Labour-dominated council, had got some quiet words from Labour Party central office saying, look, you know, wait till after the election. After the election, you can gouge people for whatever you want. But right now, we don't want to be unpopular. We want to stand up for low-income families. We want to talk about the cost of living crisis and how we're going to make it better. We don't want this bad publicity, so just cool it for the time being. And that's what worries me, because I have an idea that that's what's happening. Labour councils are holding back because they're just waiting for Labour to win the next election, which they do stand a good chance of doing, if only because Britain is just fed up of the inefficiency and stupidity of the Conservatives. What they are not counting on is the inefficiency, stupidity and spite of a Labour government, because there will be a lot of that. Anyway, what else is there here? Yeah, the proposed Cambridge congestion charge announced in 2022 was to be paid by drivers travelling within Cambridge city centre and was designed to reduce the volume of traffic in the area, the volume of traffic and the number of people. And it's all very well talking about 15-minute neighbourhoods, but if your neighbourhood shop has closed down because it's not getting enough custom because of this strangulation, then how are you going to have a 15-minute neighbourhood? Joined up thinking, folks. Joined up thinking, please. All right. Howard Cox, an anti-ULEZ activist, founder of Fair Fuel UK and Reform UK's London mayoral candidate, said, Cambridge has listened, something that Sadiq Khan is incapable of doing. Yeah, it's listened now. I don't trust them to be listening in a year's time or whenever, 18 months' time, when they've got their feet firmly into that toehold of power. Right, nearly forgot to say, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.